Then I also watched The Green Knight, which came out a couple of years ago. And this is like a weird, whacked out version of a tale about Gawain, who from Arthurian legend is Arthur's nephew. And it's about him going off and facing the Green Knight, who in this is a tree person of some kind. And yeah, weird movie. Like top to bottom weird. Like I don't know. Like I'm not a big student of Arthurian legend. Most of what I know comes from the movie Excalibur, the live action one. Is assuming there's not a live action one, but it's the live action one from the '80s, which pretty much means it's awesome. But yeah, Patrick Stewart's in it, Liam Neeson, I believe, and Gabriel Byrne, a much younger Helen Mirren as Morgana. You know, it's got some star power to it.
Well, Liam Neeson was in a better movie. Cool.
Yeah, Krull. But anyway, so Gawain is, I guess he'd be Morgana's son, because as far as I know, Morgana's Arthur's only sister. Even though I could have sworn like she was evil, and that like Mordred was her son. Although I think Mordred was like her son with Arthur. It's weird. I don't know how accurate Excalibur was. I'm basing all this on that. So Gawain, he's not one of the knights of the Round Table because he's much younger, and so it shows him. Like Arthur's like, hey, why don't you come up here and sit next to me here on this fine Christmas day? Because Arthur doesn't have any kids, so the crown will pass to Gawain if something happens to Arthur, because he's the nearest male relative. And he's like, well, tell me of your deeds and, you know, of you. And he's like, well, there's nothing really to tell. Like, I've not gone on any great quests, not fought in any wars. And then the Green Knight shows up and he's like, oh, Arthur, like, I challenge you to a game of sorts. He's like, I want, you know, you or your representative or whatever. I'll give you a clean shot on me. Hit me however you wish. But 1 year from now, you have to come find me to receive the same blow in return. And so he's like, all right, Gawain. So Gawain's like, and he hands him Excalibur. And he decapitates the Green Knight. Because he's thinking, well, he's dead. I'm not going to have to take a hit, right? Then the Green Knight stands up and picks up his head and is like, I'll see you in a year, and walks out. And he leaves his like big battle axe behind because that was part of the deal. And so Gawain spends the next year with constant reminders that he's basically going to go to die. And so that's like about the first third of the movie. Then he goes off on his weird quest, which at one point he might have been on psychedelic mushrooms. I'm not entirely certain. Sees some giants, sees a woman who's dead, finds her head in the lake, and finds her body in the cabin. Gets attacked by some kids on this battlefield, which one of them was is in the Eternals movie, the one that could control people. You know what I'm talking about? I can't think of his name. It starts with a D, but I can't think of his name. His character's name starts with a D. Well, anyway, that actor, he's one of them, and so like Gawain gets like hijacked by them, and then they steal all his stuff. And I must have fallen asleep at some point because like next thing I knew, he had all his stuff back. So I don't know. I must have missed something there. But yeah, so like he goes on the quest, and like he gets to the castle towards the end, and the lords are like, "Oh, well, we found you out in the woods, and you know, like I'll make you a deal. I'm going to go out and hunt, and anything I get out there, I'll give to you. But in exchange, you have to give to me anything you receive in here in the castle, where his wife is." And so his wife kind of puts the moves on him, and then the Lord kind of puts the moves on him, and it's just like,
So he has to give that back to the guy.
yeah, it's like weird stuff happened right there. Like, and finally he's, you know, he tells him, it's like, I'm sorry, like I just don't go that way. And he's like, all right, I understand. And so they leave. Then he goes to face off against the Green Knight, and you know, he's like getting into a position so he can like lop his head off. And he goes to swing, and then he flinches, and he's like, "Why do you run away? Like I didn't run away from your strike." And he's like, "Yeah, but you know, it wasn't going to kill you." And so finally, he's like, "Are you ready?" And he's like, "No, I'm not ready. No one could ever be ready for this." And runs off. and you see like the rest of his life, like he takes over as king once Arthur dies, and for some reason Arthur must have been a Jedi because his body just disappears once he dies, as he becomes one with the Force, I guess. And then so he becomes king, and like the kingdom kind of falls apart. And he's riding through the castle at one point, and someone throws a piece of cow shit at him and hits him right in the face, and then it comes down to like invaders are getting ready to storm the hall there, and he sends the women out. Prior to him going to the Green Knight, the lady at the castle gave him this sash that she said would protect him from a mortal blow. And so you see him as he's going through his time, he never takes it off. And finally, once the invaders are getting ready to come in, he takes it off, and his head just falls right off. So, but then he's back with the Green Knight, and he was basically seeing what his life was going to be if he chickened out here. And so he tells him like, "Okay, I'm ready." And the Green Knight's like, they say something back and forth, and he's like, "All right, well, off with your head." And I think it's a play on words, as in, "Off with you," while you still have your head, not "I'm going to chop your head off," because the movie stops right there.
Yeah.
So, and then you see a scene like in the middle of the credits, someone that's obviously Gawain's daughter picking up the crown. So I'm assuming it's supposed to be that it was all to teach him a lesson of what it means to really be a knight, and this is what's going to happen if you're a coward. Face your fate, and he's like, okay, you passed the test. I'm not going to kill you, and then goes off and lives his life. So a weird movie, very bizarre, but definitely worth a watch, in my opinion.
Thank you for watching. This has been a Geek Cabal video, Echoes of a Whisper. This has been a clip from one of our podcasts. The link to the actual podcast this is from is in the description of the video if you want to see the entire thing, which we obviously encourage you to do. But otherwise, if you enjoyed what you saw, a thumbs up is always appreciated. Subscriptions and all the rest is definitely appreciated. Comments, as always. But just in general, thank you for watching. Hope you liked it. And check out the other videos we have here on the channel. See you later.